Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Where you been?
Drunk. Wendy? Darling? Light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck up and die.
So now this is the For Real Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. I'm Levi. That's Jordan. What's up?
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
This is me, Jordan.
What were you saying? We're gonna wait and get into it though, right about because you're
Oh,
like
yeah,
you gotta
no,
start before. We have this
it's a
bad
little-
habit. We'll start. We're
Yeah,
just because we just when we hang out, we just talk about movies anyway.
yeah.
And so we'll start talking and then be like, oh, wait, let's save it for the fucking podcast because we're just talking about Dredd or whatever.
I know, I can't, dude. I like spill out my podcast juices, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta savor those so that I can use them when we're live, when we're hot mic.
Right, I know, I gotta keep them buried in. I try to warm up my juices throughout the day to like get my thoughts out loud, you know, because it's like it's so much. Sometimes it's much nicer, like to just speak out loud and like articulate your thoughts. Like how many times on this show have we come to realizations about movies, talking through them, you know, have a clearer understanding of what we like and dislike about them in the process. So I guess it's fine, but I'll try to talk to people about movies constantly, and it's always a disappointment. So thank God.
Well, that's why you've got me.
Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. Is my church.
Right.
Praise be the silver screen, because I literally like. Again, you hear me say this every week to anyone I'll see in the street. Anyone. Hey, so have you ever seen Dredd? Dredd, what's that? You know, like, oh, it's a cool sci-fi action movie. You should check it out. They're like, okay, cool.
Well, and if they haven't seen it, you can go to our website, cultofcinemaKnowledge.com, and you can read them the synopsis that I wrote, and it'll hook them.
Dude, did you just plug the website? I can't even wait to see how many clicks we get.
Yeah, we're gonna get lots of clicks. I told you I put up a poster on my neighbor's my neighborhood park has a bulletin board, and I put up Cult of Cinema Knowledge, and it has been up there for weeks.
Nice.
And I don't know if it's generating clicks. Probably not, but
people probably think it's an actual cult. You know,
probably it's like it's kind of close to a church.
You're gonna get people thinking like, is this a death cult? Please be a death cult.
I know. Well, and it's kind of cryptid and vague too. So
I'm looking for a suicide cult. Please help me.
We're gonna. What's the? Oh my god, dude! This is a ramble right now. But what movie would you watch for your suicide before your suicide,
dude?
Anyways,
all right, I'm saving that.
That's hard.
If you want to know the last movie I'll watch to my suicide, as I hang slowly, tune in for our cinema ramble episode that we'll be filming after this. Anyway, so we watched Dredd. Jordan, for those who have not seen it, this is your week to write the synopsis. So,
and I did.
Last minute, as we were getting ready to record, you were typing.
Thank God I got a synopsis that is somewhat easy, but it's like no matter how simple. This is probably the simplest film we've watched, in no.
It's very straight. It's very straightforward.
It's super straightforward. It's like linear and like very little character development, but solid characters. It's a fantastic movie. We're gonna get into it. Let me give you the synopsis. Dredd, 2012.
Oh yeah, I like that voice.
Sometime in the future, most of America is a deserted wasteland, and the only livable border is from Boston to Washington, D.C., known as the Cursed Earth, housing over 800 million lives throughout its many towering megacities. The main law enforcement is a corps of judges whose role combines those of judge, jury, and executioner. Dredd is the first line of defense against a statistically outweighed crime and violence in the city. Following a heinous triple homicide in a slum neighborhood named Peachtrees, Dredd is challenged with ridding the city of a new and powerful reality-bending drug called slow-mo. Experience reality at 1% of its normal speed, Dredd teams up with an inexperienced partner, the psychic mutant Rookie Anderson, to invade and decorrupt Mega City 1 and take down its resident drug lord, Mama. After they arrest one of her closest enforcers, the ruthless Mama hijacks the building's control panel on the top floor and locks down the complex, waging a vicious war against the judges with the help of anyone who has a gun. Proving that she will stop at nothing to protect her empire. As the body count rises and no way out, the tag team duo must overcome the odds and battle their way to the penthouse against every bullet thrown at them.
No, that's solid. That was good. Very nice. Thank you. Let me ask you this. Did you just have a solar eclipse there in Seattle?
Oh, no, yeah. Welcome to it's the golden hour, dude.
Because that light hit you just perfect and the whole rest of the room went dark. It was thematic though. You're like Dredd.
Dredd.
The city craves justice.
I'm the speaker now of the synopsis.
Yeah, but I know he's basically like Batman. Anyway.
Yeah, he's got.
Nah, you're fine.
Well, he came out. Wasn't that that's like the same year Nolan, right, did his Batman? Oh my god.
No.
Or one of them, Dark Knight maybe or something. I think
Dark Knight came out when we were still in high school.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure Dark Knight came out in 2009.
Or is it? Maybe it's one of them. I thought it was. I looked it up just briefly to see what this was up against, because Money Minute will kind of allude to a little bit of everybody knows this movie's. It was supposed to be slated for a sequel, but then it didn't get funding, and now it's now everyone's petitioning to get it made, and so it's still really popular, or at least there's still an internet backing to get a sequel made.
It did well critically, from what I heard. It just didn't do the money that they wanted.
Right, and I guess
probably because it was released in 3D.
I know. Well, and that's also something. Those are probably some of the bigger points that we'll talk about. But I want to get into
dial it back.
what was your overall? Yeah. What's your overall because you've seen this movie before.
Nope.
And oh, you haven't? Oh my God! Why?
This is my first viewing.
Oh shit! Well, okay. Tell us how'd you feel? How come I've seen this before? This is weird.
I don't know. Well, it's been on my list, and I've actually had it on my computer for quite some time because I've been wanting to watch it, but I haven't yet. So I was glad to watch it, and so I went in expecting a dumb by the numbers sci-fi shoot 'em up type movie. Sure, it's cool. I know it's got sort of a cult following almost these days. People talk about it Dredd was a really cool action movie that didn't get the love it deserved and should be. I want more of that. You know what I mean? And that's
it's always compared to the original, the first adaptation of Dredd, and so it's it's always compared to how messy that one was, and
that's funny because we're doing remakes, and I had known going in, I'd known about the original, and I don't remember hardly any of it, but I've seen it as a kid. And I remember fucking Rob Schneider is he's the goofy, wacky slapstick sidekick. And Judge Dredd obviously is just Stallone being Stallone. So I knew that going in, obviously with the remake, and I heard this was a more of a gritty nitty type of remake. And then I knew vaguely that there was I'm oh, this is based on some original property. Pretty sure it's a comic book. That's all I knew. And so I went in and I immediately sucked in because, I'm a sucker for some cool dystopian environments, and it's got just enough lore to wet my whistle. It doesn't go heavy on this is the city and this is everything.
Well, dude, this is one of the only movies I can really think of where. Well, no, I guess they do that they do the text exposition at the beginning. But for all the characters and stuff, their exposition is I don't know. It's a lot more. It's everything moves so fast in this that I really enjoy it. There's no one's talking about it and
lean.
waxing and waning.
Yeah, we talk about this sometimes. This movie was a little over. It was 95 minutes or something. It's super clean, straightforward. It starts with a cool chase scene that shows showing off what they're doing visually, what they're doing with the world, setting up Dredd aesthetics, and then having introducing their slow-mo kind of gimmick, kind of not. At first I thought it was kind of a gimmick because I was that's too bad because I'm not seeing this in 3D and it feels like it's made for 3D. But I lost that feeling soon. like after the second slow-mo scene, because I was like, okay, it makes more sense with the drugs to do it that way. Because right at the beginning during the car chase, I was like, oh man, like it's like trying to be 3D so hard, and I'm not watching it in 3D, so it's not as good. But dude, it sucked me in. I had a lot of fun. There were points in this movie where I'm sitting on my couch with my dog, and my wife is at the kitchen table doing a puzzle, and she's just like, that is so fucking stupid. Like, she'll like, Dredd will say a one-liner like, yeah, like I don't even remember some of the lines. He's just like, justice is coming, and shit like that. Just all these like super stoic, badass action movie hero one-liners, and I'm cheering out loud when things happen. I'm like, fuck yeah, that was cool. So it was a lot of fun, but it's like I'm intrigued because they do such a good job setting up the scenario, setting up Dredd, setting up Mega City 1. They set up peach trees, and then it's like you're finding out, like they set everything up really well that it's like just super clean, and so you just have a lot of fun. You're not asking crazy questions other than like, man, I want to know how this world got like this.
Right.
But you're not asking so many crazy questions. It's not like huge mysteries. You're like, it's like you find out fairly quickly, like obviously Mama's this crazy drug lord and she's actually manufacturing the slow-mo. But man, I had a blast. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I liked it. Like it's not gonna, like, I don't know. I left feeling like, man, I want more of that. So I feel like I'm part of that group now.
You're definitely gonna
like I'm not like a diehard Dredd fan, but I'm like, oh man, I want more like of that kind of movie. You know what I mean? Like, and because it's not, I was expecting like a dumb, just sci-fi action movie, but and don't get me wrong, it's got tons of action and it's not like super deep and has all these philosophical layers to pick apart. But it's like, I don't know. It was really solidly established sci-fi lore. Set, they have a really good foundation, and then they just do up all the action set pieces on top of that foundation with really cool visuals that, I don't know, really worked. It worked out for them, and I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching it. I'll probably return to it one day. I wanted to download, see if I can get a 3D version of it and watch it on my Quest, because you can watch 3D movies on your Quest.
You can do, yeah. And see, in that, I've never seen it 3D either, and I actually didn't know. The first time I saw this film, I had no idea it was 3D, and I liked the stylistic, like, slow-mo shots when they hit the drug.
They're cool.
It totally...
And it thematically makes sense.
It works, and it works perfect, though, because they don't do 3D for, like, anything else. I mean, if they do, it must have been for, like, maybe when they're firing...
The title's what got me.
Oh,
because
the title.
Like, Dredd, like explodes at the screen. And I was like,
the title.
And
maybe when they're shooting... Maybe when they're shooting those huge turret guns... and they're like, they waste that whole level.
Well, and I imagine it'd be really cool. Like, I do feel like 3D would work because all the scenes looking down the balcony. I'm like, that would cause. They do and I think because they're thinking with 3D a little bit ahead of a time, that they're creating really good depth, but without pandering and being a gimmick. Because that's what I was afraid of. Because I'm like, oh, when a movie is creating like spatial depth that I know is a 3D release originally, I'm like, oh man, they're fucking gimmicking to that. Like, they stab at this, all the 3D things.
Yes.
Like the eyeball comes out towards the screen and shit.
Right, right. And
that's what I was expecting near the beginning. I was like, it's too bad. But this movie, like the cinematography has a very good, you fill the space, even though it's like you can tell with the sets and everything. Like it seems like Peach Trees has some very wide, big spaces that probably worked really well on 3D.
Right. And I think it's funny, though, on this is my second viewing, and so it's definitely like, it is definitely a first viewing impact that hits you hard. I feel like the second time, I know like what's coming. I know the huge plot points where they capture the bad guy, or capture the one dude, and then they're using him to go through, and they go up, and it gets locked down. Yeah. So I kind of know like the big things and like the slow-mo and everything. And so on this viewing, I felt like it almost you say it's lean, and I agree because it's super lean. But I'm almost like there's some parts where I'm like, oh man, they really could they could have just trimmed it down. And these are pretty much my only negatives. Is like I think they could have slimmed it down. There's a few scenes where I'm kind of like well, this is almost like it's going a little slow. We don't really need to know this, or we don't need to have this happen. Like him stunning those kids, and that scene when the dude gets out of his handcuffs and like grabs the girl and goes into the room.
Right.
It's like, that scene's important to get her away. So you can kind of
Can we just refer to that dude? That's Avon Barksdale. Show some respect.
Oh, yeah.
Wood Harris is the actor, but the whole time I was like, man, Avon from The Wire. Like, he just can't, they always typecast as a drug dealer. It's too bad.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's like in Peach Trees, slow-mo sells itself. Anyway. It's like the high rises all over again. But no, I see what you're saying. Like things like that, I feel like they move the plot forward in a realistic and it was really reactive, which I appreciated because it was like,
Well, I remember it purely as being just straight up he was invincible, and I was like, I kind of was remembering it being like, oh man, this is like. I remember being kind of silly. The first time I saw it, I thought it was cool, loved the visual shots and everything. But I thought, I was like, oh man, he's almost too invincible. But on this viewing, it actually was nice to kind of be reminded that he's a little more methodical. Like he's very experienced.
He's caught off guard a couple times.
He's not just killing so. The Raid, that's going to be a really strong comparison. And in that film, it feels a little he gets pretty fucking beat down in that movie, and so it almost feels like impossible. And in this, I feel like because the sci-fi behind it helps, where he has tools that can go and that one pistol can change different weapons, and he can he can take out huge groups of people, right? I think it
switches to incendiary and
right. It aids in the suspension of disbelief or whatever, suspension of disbelief, because it's oh, this weapon is pretty much making him invincible.
Well,
and
it's a good
all
point,
his
though,
his training and stuff. It adds, but
I actually disagree with you. I mean, coming back to the kid part, because the kid part, not only is it's quick, it's a realistic, considering the environment, reactionary method to catch Judge Dredd off this game so that Avon Barksdale can kidnap the psychic and get away and all that shit. But also, that's a moment I thought even though it's super simple and it's not like, oh man, that's deep. It's literally just shows Judge Dredd is not a killing machine. It shows that he's not RoboCop or anything. He's underneath it all. He's a man because he switches. He has every right to kill those kids. And he even just body bag or juvie, your choice. And but then he switches to stun and stuns them instead, which is I thought there's so little character building moments for Dredd that it's those ones really have to kind of work. And I feel like that one worked. And there's a couple other, especially when the other judges show up, it's there are character building moments for how he is, and he loses his emotion slightly when he is finding out everything, and he almost is beating Avon Barksdale to death. And then the psychic Anderson has to take over. So it's I feel like that really works, but I do agree with you that probably on a second viewing, I want to be in that world, but I don't necessarily want to be in that storyline again and again. You know what I mean? I've seen that story. I've seen that storyline. I've seen that plot. Judge Dredd and Anderson in the lockdown of Peach Trees against Ma Baker. Seen it. Cool. It's awesome. It's badass. But I just want to be in that world more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what leaves me wanting more.
I'm not a big. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not the biggest fan of sequels. I feel like I get nervous because they're really hard to accomplish.
I don't need a sequel. I want a video game.
Oh, well, yeah.
I want a good third-person video game where I'm a judge going around Mega City 1, dealing with corruption and dealing with drug dealers, Crackdown style. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be fun. I mean, Cyberpunk tried, I guess. But
that's what I'm saying. It's and that's why I really like this world, man, because it's it did give me, because obviously this is technically a cyberpunk dystopian type genre, but it's
100%,
early stages of cyberpunk. it's much more like overpopulation collapses society. Like it's like this world in 100 years is cyberpunk. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the thing. You're seeing like, cause it's like the little like Easter eggs that get into it, the body modifications, like Mama pops out the computer dude's eyes and gives him like those robotic ones that help him like, he's like basically a camera himself.
Dom Hall Gleason.
Yeah, right. And he's in Ex Machina, which is a joke.
I know.
This is essentially, so
Alex
apparently
Garland.
This is an Alex Garland project more so.
And I did not know that. And that made me excited.
It's so funny. I forgot. I like was watching this and I see it and it says the director, like, whatever, Peter or something. What the hell's his name? Yeah, Pete Travis. And then it was like written and produced by Alex Garland. And I was like, oh, whoa, okay, wait a minute. And so the only thing I looked into is like apparently there was a lot of conflict between them. And Alex Garland kind of this is essentially considered like his soft debut, like his directorial debut, because he worked on it so well. But I'm like, that is something I need to look into because I would love to know more of that history and if it's just more of like people just credit that, or if he actually genuinely like kind of took the reins and like worked heavily alongside Pete Travis or something. But anyways, I'm excited for Alex Garland's new movie, man. So that'll be dope as hell.
I'm fucking there for everything Alex Garland does now at this point, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he like the fact that he wrote this, it's so funny because I'm like, God, this is like, it's written really well and it's cool and it's slim. And then I was like, oh, Alex Garland, he's like the master at that. All of his movies are like super slim. They're like, dude,
right? I feel like he took this, because obviously he'd been fairly successful. He'd wrote some novels, I think, but then he wrote like The fucking Beach or something. Anyway, but he wrote a couple novels.
28 Days Later was his like first
screenplay. He got back into screenwriting, and 28 Days Later in Sunshine he wrote, which are obviously amazing. We love
those are amazing movies. Yeah, yeah. We need to talk about those one day, dude. Maybe we'll do 28 Days Later for Halloween because I love that movie.
Yeah, I know. You used to fall asleep to it all the time.
I know. Yeah, I did.
It was always playing in your room.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I feel like Alex Garland like wrote this movie and is like, I really love the Dredd universe, Judge Dredd universe. I want to so he writes just like a type movie that he can bring to studios and be like, let me make this. And they're like, okay, but you got to do it with this other guy. And so I feel like they kind of, I don't know if that's what happened, but that's what it feels, because it does, like you said, it's like a soft debut, because he kind of popped off and he had a lot, apparently he was really involved in like the pre-production hard, like 1,000 times, because obviously he produced too, but he was like 1,000 times more involved than any screenwriter usually, and it's like he was there on set and like
and he worked alongside the original author of Dredd, John Wagner.
His creative vision, like he had a vision for this movie from inception of the screenplay that bleeds through much more than a lot of other ways. So it's like and it shows, you know what I mean? It shows like with the hyper stylization and like just his love for sci-fi, you know?
Yeah, the tight sci-fi. I'm like so like fucking like Ghost in the Shell, and then the movie that I like, I don't necessarily equate it with, one for one, but like it gives me like a lot of Blade Runner vibes, clearly, and Blade Runner's like one of my favorite series of all time. So it's like,
well, it's in the cyberpunk genre, like we're saying, right. It really fits with all those.
But I just like that. I like how, right? It's soft cyberpunk, but it's fully that dystopian. It feels. I love how crowded it feels, but yet individual characters are like it. Totally that scene when he freaking goes to the. It's right at the beginning when he shoots that incendiary round into the dude's mouth and it like melts his face. I bet that was 3D too. That shot kind of seemed weird.
Yeah.
And so, that probably had like some sparks blowing out. But anyways, it's like I love how scared the woman is that she just got saved, because it's like it's so telling to how like a dystopian would be with like judges being like enforcers and police. It's like they get to do everything, and I love how he like it's great. It's not as satirical as like RoboCop, but it definitely like it's got a little bit, but it's just so funny how he's always just like he always like will explain exactly what the law is, and I'm just like, oh man, dude, it's so
and it's sad because he is like the epitome of like I was getting hardcore RoboCop vibes, because he's like, I am the law, Like, I'm here to, like, his religion is the law. You know what I mean? And he's there to uphold the law. But the system of this judge system is definitely makes sense that he is definitely the anomaly. Like, all those other judges that come, all the crooked ones, I guarantee you that's so much more common.
Well, even him, he's super silly because he's like this. He's like, there's like, 6% of laws. Cause now we're getting into like the actual like legitimacy of anything that they do. It's so pointless at this
they're
point.
saying there's
there is
like
no
17,000 violent crimes a day,
violent
or murders
crimes
a day.
Yeah. And dude, I'm almost like when he talks, the biggest thing for me, my biggest pet peeve is when he talks to the homeless guy, which unfortunately that dude like gets smushed to shit. It's like that's the satirical part. Yeah, that's the part where I'm like, God, yeah, dude, we get it. You're kind of hitting us over the head with it like that door. But it's like how he just tells him like he needs to get a job, and it's like all this shit where it's like the unemployment rate and shit, and all the people in this world.
96% at Peachtree's.
96% unemployment. I'm like, dude, the statistics that they laid on us, where there's 800 million people in like that landmass that's basically like the size of Texas. It's impossible to have like a structure that would work, like an infrastructure that's capitalism. It's impossible. Like, there is no such thing as unemployment now. You have 800,000 people that are just
blown. Like, and honestly, like, it's sad, but I watched this movie and I'm like, as silly and crazy it is, this seems like such a likely future for humanity. If we continue the way we're going.
It would be less desert and more oceans closing in on each side. Right. But it's we would all live in like the middle of
with that many people. It's like, it's not like you can have a democratic government. It's full blown authoritarian dictatorship, and it's like it's.
So I think that's my only peeve is like they try to paint it as like there are criminals and there are police. I'm kind of just like it's like
it's super nihilistic. It's I feel like it's outcome. It's what it's saying is super nihilistic because they're like, humanity's fucked, and the one cop even says it. The one Dredd is like, or the one judge is like, this city's a meat grinder. You know what I mean? It's like everything, because that's the thing. It's like they're only existing to just continue existing, but they know the system does not work, and the system has never fucking worked. But it's just like this constant of like they're trying to like police extremely ineffectively this insane growing thing, and it's just like it's just never gonna work. It's just this hopeless constant struggle of like nothing, of just violence and just
that's what I kind of like, that it's like it's almost like since there's going to be no infrastructure that can do it, like no police force that could actually do anything good. It's just essentially like you get to choose and send to somebody, and then you take them to like a pod, which I'm assuming, or what the hell are they called? Is it something pod, right? Like a
it's
cube.
like an isolation cube.
The ISO cube,
which is essentially just boom, you're in solitary confinement.
It's basically it's solitary. I'm sure you go to it, and there's probably just like some gruel that gets dropped in there or something.
I do like that there's no, in this world of like, and I'm not all for like extreme law or anything, and the exact opposite. But, but like, I do think it's interesting where it's like, it's portraying this world where it's like, there's no fines, there's no tickets, there's no fees. Like, every crime has to be adhered to so extremely because that's the only way to combat it at all. And
it's black and white.
It's no matter what, like, boom, jail sentence. I'm the judge, you're sentenced. And it's interesting because it's like in a world like that, then it's like the laws actually, depending on the judge, obviously, adhere to everybody. Because obviously in our current society, I mean, laws don't apply to you if you have money.
And in our current society, it's almost similar to that too, where laws don't apply to you if you are in a position of power. And so it's like
that's what that is. That's what that is. It's
right. But dude, this
authoritarian angle.
Have you ever seen this anime called Psycho-Pass?
Dude, John used to watch Psycho-Pass. I not a whole lot, but I've seen a little bit of it.
So if you like this movie, dude,
I've been.
I highly recommend. It's pretty simple too. I think it's only like maybe 16 episodes or 20 episodes.
Anime bi-curious.
I know. Right. You've dabbled in a little Hayao Miyazaki, which is like where that's where all the
I've dabbled deeper than Miyazaki.
Oh,
though.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, you have. Yeah.
It's like
You've watched some with us too, I guess.
I love Perfect Blue and I love Akira. I prefer the movies to the television shows. Is my thing, but
this is good. You would like it. There's enough. I might check it out. It's pretty like it's not super anime-y. It doesn't have a lot of the tropes. It's more of kind of like a Ghost in the Shell, but it's dope because in this one they have weapons that actually they'll like clock somebody and analyze them and then tell you where you can proceed, and then you can like override it and stuff, but it's kind of similar to this where that gun clocks and blows his arm off.
Yeah,
because it's like that where like the gun's like loaded to each cop or whatever. But
that's fun.
But
that's an interesting thing because the whole time I was waiting for like them to explain the mutant thing, but they don't, and things like that, but they don't.
I like it.
And I'm glad they don't, because it's just like, they're like, mutants are a thing in this world, and they're rare, but it exists, and there it is. Boom. Like, that's just what happens.
They're just like kind of an anomaly that,
and that's part of the story.
Yeah. I love how it is. It is, like you said, it's like we're just tiptoeing into this like cyberpunk.
Yeah, they're dripping the lore just enough.
Body modifications aren't really quite there yet, but they're like, I'm sure in the background there's probably a lot more machinery involved in
I want that world. I want to know about like the black market, all the crime.
I'm nervous though if they make a sequel. I just don't feel like it's gonna have the same tightness. It's almost like where Sin City felt like one of the greatest comic book adaptations of all time. And
SimCity
2,
Dame to Kill For was fucking horrible.
It's so weird because it's almost like they tried to make the exact same movie again, but it just like it was like the fucking bargain bin, dude. It was it was the goddamn like Kroger brand. Like it totally was just.
Hey, whoa now.
I love Kroger brand. I love Kroger brand though, so don't worry.
This episode of Cult of Seminology is brought to you by Kroger.
By Kroger, yeah. Sponsor.
Technically, it does pay for some of this.
That's true, yeah.
But I don't know how I feel about a sequel at this point.
I'm not
like championing for it, but again, I think I want more Dredd property. You know what I mean? Yeah. Done well. Because they were talking about doing a show. Doing a TV show, which could be interesting.
I wish we did more miniseries here in America. I wish we had
I think that's picking
more
up,
just like 6 episodes.
It's picking up gusto, honestly. The limited series, like there's Hulu and Netflix have been doing a lot more of that, and HBO than normal, especially with streaming. So I think we will get more of that, honestly. Hopefully, because they're getting more popular. They're like more short run.
I think this would function well in a short series.
Yeah.
I think it could. I do, like you said. I love the world, and I want to see more. And it'd be interesting to see, like it could even be like 50 years from when this took place, and Dredd's like retired, maybe, or just Dredd's like old. I don't know. I guess that's been done a million times, where a retired cop. But anyways,
dude, I was watching a couple videos last night about because again, going into this, I was like, oh yeah, I think there's obviously a comic or something, because it's like there's no way. This world is not an original property to the movie. I knew that, but I was looking up the comic afterwards because I was like, oh, I really like this lore. I like this world. I think it's cool. I want to learn more about it. So I was like, I like comic books. I'd read some of the comic books probably. But I was like looking up into the lore, and there's so much of it. There's just
huge,
so much. Like, it's been going on for a long time too, way more than I thought. But it's interesting. I mean, it gets pretty weird, some of it, from what I understand. But
and I'm really glad that they stuck. No, it's kind of what Sin City did for comic books. How they brought the page to life. It works so well. Like the yellow bastard in that, like he doesn't seem out of character, because it's just like he just kind of fits. Even though he's not human.
Sin City's completely cool. That's a good noir movie, man.
Oh, that's a movie I like. I've seen a few times, but with this, it's like I love they toned it down, because in the 1995 one, they give him like the huge costume. Like we loved doing that in the early 90s, like
and it's
give
cool.
it like Batman and stuff look goofy. Yeah, no, I love it. Aesthetically, it's beautiful, but practically it looks dorky.
Well, I'm glad with this they have actual, like, it does feel like society's kind of barely hanging on, and it's getting there, but it's like, you know, in this, even though in the comic book series from the panels I've seen and the 90s movie, there's like flying cars. It's like full blown Fifth Element. It's really like, you know.
Yeah, it's flamboyant. Everything they wear is like big, and it's like super exaggerated. And I love that they like more humanized this version.
This is more grounded in a way that, like, you know, the Nolan's Batman movies, they're like, we took it and we grounded it.
Right.
This is that, but like a little bit, like they still had the flair. Like this movie still has that stylistic flair, that dystopian grime.
I love that he keeps his helmet on, because that's true to comic.
Dude,
and so
I love you never see his face. I love it.
It's such a good stylistic choice.
I would have been so sad if he took it off.
He
at the
emotes.
end and is like,
right.
shakes his head.
Well, no, and that's like they couldn't do it. The whole, like, when I first saw this, he was like wearing his helmet the whole time, and even when he was talking like in the interrogation room, I was like, oh, so he's like shit. I'm like, he's got to keep this on the whole time. And then I thought maybe they'd do that at the end. They'd give him a little, the flip, and they give him like the beach, you know,
that'd be funny. the
Carl beach body.
Like, the whole time you're watching this whole movie of just this dude frown, like just just grimace, and then at the end he takes it off and he just got luscious hair, just beautiful luscious hair. That'd be fun.
I'd give him a pass.
That's what they should have done.
Do you have any Reddits for us?
I do, and then let me see.
I wanted to say, what was really cool about this is they're freaking where the raid had. Oh, did I mention this already? Shit, I don't know. The raid had like nothing but hand-to-hand combat, and this had nothing but like bullet-to-bullet combat. Like it was all gunfire combat, and I loved it. Like there's only like maybe 2 hand-to-hand combat scenes in this whole thing, and it's fantastic. It's like it's so cool. I don't know that. The action works really well.
The action's good. Let's see. So I got a couple of Dredd comments. Let's see what we got. So, Zan Pierre says, I'm from South Africa where some of the shots were taken. For example, the bridge at the beginning I have driven on a lot. This was just raw action, amazing shots. Love the slow motion. Carl Urban was freaking awesome. He was like, this movie is not like, you know, that role of Judge Dredd is not like this depth complex role, but it's just like you do need the right guy to play this gravelly, this like, I don't know, even with just the lower half of his face, like he plays this guy really well, because you do tell there's something under there.
Well, and it's really hard
enough,
to deliver those lines with like, you know, true character and to be like genuine. It's not super easy, because it could have easily been like, because it's like everyone mocks like Batman.
It's cheesy.
Nolan's Batman.
Yeah, my wife was like, that's cheesy, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point. But it was never like too much. Like it was just enough. Like there's a couple one-liners, you know, but it's like they never felt like
it's not gimmicky. He never like looks at the camera and says it. You know,
he's just like he's literally just like saying that shit. Like he's just so matter of fact. He doesn't know he's doing a one-liner. He just says
the scene that comes to me is when he's like, wait, you know, and
he's like, wait for what? And then there's a good villain speech though. You know?
Right.
Pretty good. I really liked the scene where the crooked judges showed up. So also another opponent says, Dredd is what I miss about action movies. It proves you can have a compelling, intense story and good action set pieces without having to make it a crazy quest to save the world from a global threat. The Dredd movie feels like a story from any random day in that world, and it benefits from it. And I love that.
Dude, great. Yeah, great comment. Yeah. Oh, and I have to say, someone from South Africa, what's up? Awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I hope you listen to this. Keep commenting, man, because I've seen you in a couple of the other comments. So keep commenting.
Yeah, we hecka appreciate it.
And another opponent, you know who you are, you fucker.
Dude.
I hope you listen to this. That was a good comment. So you should keep commenting.
Yeah, come comment if you've seen Psychopaths. Let me know if you like it.
You know that weeb ass has seen Psychopaths.
No, he probably has. But we need to Pablo on the pod again, dude. It's been a hot minute,
dude. And it's funny because the last pod he was on was Total Recall and Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was Total Recall,
Yeah,
right? And
it
that's
was when we were
kind of
young
got
too, but-
the original.
It's got vibes
Judge
for this,
Dredd
yeah.
is hella but like the original is like super hella like Total Recall
Yeah,
vibes, you know,
big
and that
time.
like came a couple years after, so it's like totally fits that. It just fits that. Like you can tell it's 90s. That's what I like about this. So like seems a little cleaner, and I just love how simple it is. But dude, it totally feels like super dreamy, and I love those shots so much, dude. The slow mo, it really like I'm a sucker for slow mo. I thought at the beginning it was a little gratuitous, but then it kind of pays off because it's like they stopped doing it like through the whole.
That was the thing. I was literally.
bullet.
I got to the point where I was like, I want a more slow mo. Like bring because they kept like obviously it was they only did the slow mo when people were on the drug, and I really appreciate that because I thought for sure they were gonna switch to a slow mo scene just during a shootout because it's cool, but they never did. No. And it only it's all makes sense within the world, and I think that's the like I said the big strength. Whoops, sorry that was probably loud. It was like the biggest strength of this movie is it's just like everything. It's simple. It's all the pieces work. Like it's tight. It's like all the gears are there. This thing affects this thing, and that's just the way. Like this movie has a set of rules that it adheres to, and makes it so it's tight. There's no weird loose ends.
Right, and I totally agree with Pablo on that. Like it feels like just a day in the city.
I love that because it's like even at the very end, like that's just one thing of many. They're just on a day. It's not like the end all be all crime. Like she is a crime boss, but I guarantee you there's dozens of other mega crime bosses. Yeah, and even at the end,
it's she like controls she controls the city block, the 200 stories, but there's still like the other operating gangs. They've just kind of like chosen to work with her, and I'm sure at any minute because she knows she's like it comes with the territory. Dreads or judges are going to come after me. It also comes with the territory that.
One of the other gangs are going to take over that block.
Yeah, they're right behind her. They're probably using her because she has like the leverage with manufacturing it and shit, getting it out there. It's cool.
Even at the end, the captain walks out and is like, "So what happened in there?" And he's just like, "Drug bust gone bad." That's it. Like that's just what it is. That's just his day. That's what's up. They're like, "How'd the rookie do?" He did good. That was the most significant thing, was that. She like proved herself as this force for good that can actually do something, probably because she's more empathetic too, which also her psychic stuff I thought was really well used for like because it didn't overdo it either. Like,
oh yeah, and she never like messed with it. She never like beat anybody with it. She just used it to her advantage as like a tool. It was great.
It was great because it's like a lot of times it would show you like the. Inside their head, like the fiction inside their head, like, but like it didn't linger on it. And then like the one girl's dressed as a judge and comes out and she's like, this rookie will never know. And then it's like, there's like a second of her being like, summon her up psychic. And then she just mows her down. And it's great because you didn't get you didn't get like a whole thing of being like a flashback sequence of her like reading her mind. It was just like, because of how it's set up, she just read her mind. There's that little visual effect, and then she mows her down, and it's satisfying. You know what I mean? To see how it's like up until that point, those are the rules. That's how it's used. That's how she uses her character to get out of those situations, and it's awesome. And the way she gets in Avon Barksdale's head and fucks him up.
Right.
Awesome.
I guess that's like the main time she uses it to defeat somebody, but she doesn't even. It's not like I'm just glad she didn't use it to completely destroy them, or something. It's like she's not OP.
It wasn't like at the end.
It's very it works perfect with like who she is and how she's learning, and like seeing if it was like a mini series, she would probably get a little stronger or
that's
like
what
build
caused
a little
her
more
to
control.
survive. But yeah, you're right. The ultimate everything that happened, the ultimate goal did not hinge on her being a psychic. Like she got shot in the shootout being a judge, and Judge Dredd also took a huge gamble. At the end, he's just like, let's see.
Yeah. Oh, I do love that. That's actually one part where like, if you didn't pay attention to like the one line where he's like, we're like a kilometer up. Do you think it can, do you think this transmitter can get through like, whatever.
200 stories of concrete.
Yeah. Like 100 stories of concrete, and like, so that was, I like that gamble. It's like,
let's see. So Mikey Forrester says, I'm jealous that you're about to watch this for the first time. I do think first time view, like we were saying, so I just wanted to shout that out. And then Wugger Humphdon says, the only thing wrong with Dredd is the lack of a sequel. If you've never seen it, I hope you have a good sound system with big sub for the slow-mo sequences. Lena Headey is Suburb as Mama, which she's awesome. This movie had a pretty good, like, crew.
Well, it was a
not
chameleon cast too, dude. I didn't even realize it was her at first. Like,
it clicked with me. I was like, who is that? And then I was like, oh, that's, Cersei from Game of Thrones. That's what it was. And then as soon as I saw Avon, I was like, oh yeah, and that's Wood Harris, and like
yeah. Well, and then the main girl, Anderson, Olivia, whatever, Thirlby.
Yeah.
She's in Why the Last Man.
Oh.
She plays the sister.
That's right.
Can't remember her name right now.
I'm sad about that show.
Yes, me too.
I mean,
so, anyways.
we could go on around. It had its moments. I'm sad that it's just like.
No.
Here it came.
Save it for the ramble. Save it for the ramble. Let's get Travis in on the horn here.
Do you want to get him first?
Do you have more Reddits?
No, I was gonna say, do you want to do his voicemail first, or do you want to do the Money Minute first?
Oh yeah.
What would
I
you
can
rather?
definitely.
We can go either
No,
way.
I can hit you up with the Money Minute.
Hey,
Yeah, I guess that we kind of discussed it a little bit about the parameters of it getting a sequel, but essentially it was like, if this movie hit 50 mil, if it like, hit 50 million in the box office, they would make a sequel. It was like contracted, guaranteed that it was going to be a sequel, and it made 41. Off of, which is wild because the budget's a little stretched too. They say the budget is from 30 million to 45 million. So that's kind of a big, I don't know, that 15 million is like a lot of the budgets for a lot of movies we've watched. So I don't know where 15 million's kicking around. I don't quite know. Like, all the sources were kind of around 30 million to 35 million, and then some would say 45 million. And so I'm just like, 30 to 45 million is the budget.
Yeah, my guess would have been 25 to 30, because even though I thought this movie was well done, but it's like, if I had any gripes with it, it's like you can tell, and it wasn't a problem for me, but you could tell it's punching above its weight class, because the effects are sometimes a little wonky, some of the fluid simulation for the blood, digital blood, is obvious, and some of the compositing is a little, some of the green screen's a little much, but it's like they use it so well with the style and like the cinematography and the art direction to make that style kind of like be specific for the movie. But it feels like, I was watching it and I was like, okay, this feels like a lower budget than it probably, like most people would probably think it was more. Because I mean, at the end of the day, for a big action sci-fi movie, like 30 million is really not that much. I mean, Avengers is hundreds of millions.
Or 100, yeah, right.
But I mean, still, it's like, I do feel like they pushed it, because it did feel like a lot of the sets, like I'm like, okay, these are the sets, and they're doing everything they can.
Well, the things I loved about it, the one thing I noticed on this watch was it felt slightly, the first time you're kind of getting introduced to peach trees, it feels a little Scooby-Doo, because they literally just took they had one staircase and two hallways, and they just kept set dressing them.
It's like everything looks the same, so it's just like,
Yeah, so they would set dress it different, and they used a lot of mirrors. So they would put mirrors, and it would look like the hallway runs on for miles and miles.
Oh, that's cool.
And so you could notice it, because when I was watching it, I wasn't paying attention to anybody but the sets. The whole time they were in peach trees, I'm like, or like the first part, I was like, wow, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, how do they do this and make it seem huge? It's like this place, it looks like it's housing, almost 1 million people.
It's like a city. The whole thing itself, it's
it's like a city. And so it's kind of cool. You can see it run on. It's like they use mirrors, and then you can tell they kind of like, they definitely did like, set dress differently, and cutting into the homes helps a lot too. Builds the world. Dude, oh my God, I love the scene when it goes super Western and he's walking. It's like the first time he's watching through peach trees, when they go on the PA, and Mama's like, these kill them, kill the judges. And dude, it's so just cool. Like, it's basically like,
it is. And he's like, we better get out of here.
The little kid opens the gate, and they look at him and shake their head, and he just closes it and goes
The
back
town,
in. And it's
yeah,
like,
the town's like
the
running
whole
in.
town's closing down, dude. I loved it.
It
Man.
is.
Yeah.
That is super Western. That's funny.
Oh, it was 100. Like watching it, I was like, what? Where is the like? I was expecting them to just put a little tiny like twinge just behind it, just as like a joke. Yeah, yeah. I was waiting for like the jaw parts to
goes
come
by
out.
like a tumbleweed, you know.
Well, basically, dude. Yeah, it was like shooting like just like the ball. It's like it looked like it was a Western hardcore. It was great.
That's funny.
But so anyway, so they didn't gross the 50 million. So it was like it kind of got put into limbo because the team wanted to do it and everybody kept saying like do it, and it did really well. It sold 600,000 copies the first week that it went on DVD sales.
I do think the 3D hurt it, man. I do. Like, I mean,
I agree.
The 3D probably bumped up some ticket sales of the tickets that were sold, but they sold less tickets because it was 3D.
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, and there was there was obviously a 2D release in theaters, but it's not It's just like that confuses people
because they were riding the trend, dude. They were just riding the trend.
Right.
Not
Dude,
that there's
and
not
that
a
was-
place for 3D, but that was the time, man.
Here, go. Let's listen to Travis's voicemail.
Okay, well, I wanted to say, because we were talking about it, the other thing while I pull this up, the other thing I really like is how they chose what to use with practical effects, which they used a lot of, and then what they chose to use as digital effects,
Yeah.
which there's also a lot of. It's like,
Right.
they're like, we're not going to fuck with all this blood so much, but we're going to use compressed air to, like, make all these, like, ripples, and we're going to, like, the way they did, and they're going to use mirrors instead of green screens. Like, I'd respect that, because this felt like the CG was a tool and not a crutch. And so I like that. So, okay, here's Travis.
Tool, not a replacement, is what I like, yeah.
Correct. So, hopefully you can hear this.
Hey guys, Dredd is what an action movie should be. Lots of guns, explosions, and a clear battle between good and evil. No pointless love story or boring character development. The slow motion kills were pretty cool too. I was reading that Dredd was released in theaters in 3D, which would have been amazing to see. So my question today is, which 3D movie have you seen in theaters that you liked the most? Thanks.
You didn't hear that at all, huh? I'm sorry.
Nope. But here, let me just read the transcript real quick while you answer the question.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I heard the ending part where it said like, which 3D movies in theaters have you seen?
Yeah, Travis, thank you for your question, sir. I'm glad enjoyed it. I wish, because it's like, as much as I have mixed emotions when it comes to 3D movies, because though I don't think they're bad, I'm not like a full like the 3D purist. I do think like it obviously was a gimmick that the success of Avatar tried to popularize again.
Well, right.
With the technology, I do think if it's used creatively and is part of the process from pre-production to make it 3D, I think that is an interesting subsection of film. An interesting advancement on film technology, especially if there's better ways to watch it in the future. Like
we're not there yet.
If VR is becoming more popular, to make it instead of like a screen, if they make it like a full
that's
view,
it.
3D.
Right there, dude. The second it's 3-dimensional on screen, it's everything in the world will be 3D. I can definitely see that once that clicks, because it's still nauseating. I saw Avatar, so I've only seen 2 movies that I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, no. Holy shit. Oh my God. Do you remember Jackass did a 3D?
Yeah, I saw that in theaters.
Oh, me too.
The best. It was great because, Chris
flying
Pontius playing baseball with his dick with the ping pongs in 3D was pretty good.
I forgot all about that. Oh my God. So I have seen that because I've been racking my brain. So I talked to Travis earlier today and he was like, oh, have you seen any 3Ds? And I was like, God, I forgot about like Avatar. I was like, oh yeah, I saw Avatar. And then Coraline was one that I saw 3D and I actually Really loved that. It was super delightful.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And
I wish I would have saw that.
So I saw like Coraline 3D, and then I was like Avatar, and then I'm like, dude, back in the day in Utah, Salt Lake City, there was this place called the Fun Dome, and they used to rock like 3D. You would like watch like They had 3D.
It's
things,
like a lawyer's office now.
Or something. Yeah,
it's like a real estate office or something.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. It's not a mini golf course and like a paintball arena full of death and lost children. But it's like freaking. You could watch like silly movies there. So I've seen like there was like skeletons fighting and stuff. So I've seen some fun 3D stuff, and every single time it's a little distracting in theaters. I don't like, and especially for glasses wearers, like I'm not one of them, but like,
that's a struggle.
That's a
struggle for me.
If you wear glasses, it's almost kind of like, it's just pointless. If you can't, if you're nearsighted, it's like, you just forget it. But, I think they're fun. It is distracting. The technology is on the cusp. We're getting a lot better. And eventually, because not every movie can be Avatar, which is like one of the most expensive movies ever made. So it kind of hinders your experience, but Jackass 3D made it super fun. So that would probably, that or Coraline worked really well too, because what works really well is when you only use 3D for like certain effects, and they're not gimmicky outside of 3D.
Right.
Because
has to work
Dredd
both ways,
Yeah, Dredd, you could watch that, and someone could be like, "Oh, did you notice that it was 3D?" And they'd be like, "No, I had no idea."
Yeah.
But like something like that. Remember what's that like? My Killer Valentine's 3D or something.
I was about to say. So
what was that? I remember
the best movie I've ever seen 3D is Avatar. I mean, I remember seeing that in theaters when it came out, and it blew my fucking mind because I've unfortunately seen it several times since then. Because everyone wants to watch it for some reason. And it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's whatever. But the viewing experience, because I'd never seen anything like that before. And the technology, James Cameron, if anything, is a fucking, not only is he a pretty good filmmaker, but he's a fucking inventor, dude. Like he's a trailblazer for technologies. And so 3D, that's why 3D popped off so much, is because Avatar changed the game, and no one had seen anything like that. So I walked out of the theater after Avatar, seeing it in 3D, and I was just like, holy fuck. Like, that was one of the most craziest theater experiences I've ever had, because the audience was cool, too. And then, unfortunately, it does not hold up on repeat viewings as nearly as much. But, I mean, it's still fine. But I saw
it too, dude.
My Bloody Valentine in theaters as well, in 3D, and it was awesome.
Oh, was it? My Bloody Valentine was good.
Yeah, it was definitely a slasher movie made for 3D. Because I remember specifically, there's like so many shots that go right at the camera on purpose. Like he throws the axe, and it's like right at the camera. But there is a shot where it's an aerial shot looking down on a guy, and he like stabs the guy in the head and pulls the axe out, and the blood like flies up at the camera. And I remember being like in theaters, just like baked, and be like, "Hey, that's fun."
Yeah, right.
That. Whoa! Watch out for the blood,
Yeah,
it was cool. But I think I've only seen those, Jackass 3D, and maybe that's it. I want to say I saw one more, but I don't remember what.
I gotta see. Okay, real quick. Let me double check.
Coraline would have been cool. Dude, you know I've never seen Coraline all the way?
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Well, do yourself the favor.
It's the only
Leica movie you haven't seen? It's
the only Leica movie I haven't seen.
Wow, dude. Well, get out there, because it's like their first one, and it did fantastic.
Yeah,
so.
Well, and I know I love it, because I've seen like 2 scenes from it. Because I remember when it came out, it was very popular, and it looks really cool. And if it was readily accessible, I would have watched it already. But
well, I remember seeing it in 3D, and then when you buy it on DVD, it came with 3D glasses, so you could watch it on 3D at home, and it's hot trash. Don't ever do that. But
I'm thinking, was some of the other Leica movies in 3D? Because I think Paranorman was in 3D, and I actually do think that was the last 3D movie I saw.
Oh, you did? Oh, so you saw it in 3D? I didn't know. I didn't see Paranorman in theaters.
Don't quote me, because I do feel like there was another, because I was trying to remember another one, and it would make sense.
this was the time period because Avatar and My Bloody Valentine came out in 2009, and then Jackass 3D was 2010, and then what was Coraline? Coraline. This is more. 2009. Dude, God, that was like the year of 3D. Did somebody have like a 3D camera and they're like, all right, guys, it's contracted.
That's what it popped up. They're like, it's the next big thing. Yeah, Paranorman what did get released in 3D, and I totally must have seen it in 3D because, God, Paranorman's fucking sick. Have you seen Paranorman?
It's really dope.
God,
Yeah, Paranorman's.
We should watch Paranorman.
Yeah. We should just do a Leica run because everything they've done is amazing.
In general.
Sure, yeah.
Because there's a lot of other stop motions that I think would be fun. But yeah, fuck yeah. And we'll watch a Leica movie because they're very popular.
They're amazing, yeah.
They're the best.
And Travis, thank you for calling in as always. And I appreciate hearing from you. And I'm curious to know if you have remembered any more. Because, dude, Jackass totally just popped in there. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how, like, if you haven't seen it, I mean, if you're an adult or a really cool child, go watch Jackass 3D because there's like hilarious.
No, I remember I was reminded recently because I went and saw Jackass Forever with my wife, and it was it's Jackass. It's a lot of fun. It's stupid and fun, but I also was like, I want more Jackass. That's fun, just at the house. So I watched Jackass 3.5, which I'd never seen, because it's basically just a lot of unused footage from Jackass 3, which is in 3D. But there are parts that slightly overlap, and I was watching Jackass 3.5 like last month, and they had like the dildo cannon and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, and that's when it was all coming back. I was like, oh that's 3D. I remember that. That's fun. That was fun. I didn't ever think I'd see such giant 3D penises on the big screen, but
I know, right?
The future's
we're
now.
blessed.
The future's now.
This really is. Yeah, this really is our Lord and Savior's time.
We are blessed. Oh my God. Anyway, so thank you, Travis. What was your favorite part?
Because
I want to talk about mine, but I'm curious as to yours.
Yeah.
It's probably the same. Go ahead.
I don't know. Honestly, though, I can't like think of like something that fully. It's like weird because this movie to me, on the second viewing, you find things that you like. I mean, it's basically the slow-mo with the bullets is amazing. And what's cool? One fact I did find, they worked on that in like 2006. They got together
doing the tests and stuff.
And like doing tests to find
the
that
slow-mo's
slow-mo.
got such a distinct look, man. It's like the rainbow high end, like it's the slight psychedelic elements are really cool.
Right. And it gives me like Speed Racer vibes, dude. Do you remember,
do you remember
that? Wachowski sisters. They fucking rocked that movie, dude. It's so, dude. I love Speed Racer. You should, Oh yeah, you've seen it. Okay. I think
my dad really likes Speed Racer.
It's almost kind of one of those. I know, dude. It's one of those silly things. Like I think that's just it's because it is like their money shot. It's like it's so golden, but I don't know. I do like the little details too, where it's got a lot of like. If you're a fan of the comic books, I bet this movie was just a treasure trove. Because there's like through my readings, it's like
Alex
there's
Garland
so
definitely
many.
Was so it's like I guarantee you he put a lot of like.
There's so many. I was reading. It's like there's apparently like fatties, and there's like a whole bunch of talk about them, and then there's like every single character in Dredd is in this movie in some form. And so I'm just like, that's cool. Like, that is awesome. Like, they're either like, there's like an homage to them somehow woven throughout.
That's fun.
And so I'm just like, that's really cool. I
would be interested in checking out if I can get my hands on like a good trade or something, like just to kind of check it out. Because some of the artwork looks cool.
Dip a toe.
I dig it.
Yeah. But what was your favorite part? Mine would have to be that slow-mo.
Yeah, the runner-up is the scene, the drug bust, the slow-mo near the first third, where they go in and it's like the super slow-mo and they like shoot the kid's face off, but it's like cutting between the slow-mo and then like brrr, and then it cuts to the slow-mo again. It's like the bullets like ripping through the flesh. Awesome.
Yeah.
But if you remember from our 2 episodes ago, I was talking about The Departed, and I was like, if anyone else, listeners, I was like, I fucking get rock hard about people get thrown from buildings. Like, it's so fun. For me,
it's very well deserved in this movie to have the slow mo for that part too.
And I'm like, I want.
Well, I guess it happens a few times.
More people thrown from rooftops or falling from rooftops. It's fun, and it never quite is satisfying for me. the way I want it to be. So the first time you get the three guys fall off, and I'm like, that's fun. I like that.
That's satisfying. That's sloppy too, dude. I love the like sploosh they make, dude. Pretty,
They flatten, and it's super gory.
They've been like, I love how
and everything.
They've been skinned and then thrown off.
It's brutal.
Perfect.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
this movie's pretty brutal too. Like even
really though. I kind of forget that like.
But
it's really
the very end when they throw Mama, when he throws her from the glass, not only is he just so badass, he's like, let's see, and he gives her the big puff of the fucking slow mo, and then just throws her, kicks her through the window, and she's just falling all slow mo. Not only is it just so beautiful, just the shots of her falling down, but then the shot, and I'm like over there, I'm like, yes, but I audibly was like, fuck yeah, when the shot of her landing, and it's like glass, and it's her face, and her face splits open on the ground.
Shows, and it's like and I love.
And it's in the
I'm
X.
a sucker.
It's in the shape of the helmet.
Yeah, shape of the X. But I know, look, you and I both, we've talked about it before. We're fans of that like undershot where it's like it's fake. It's fake. It's like you can only create this shot. You can't create this in any other medium except film.
Yeah.
Like you can't recreate that where it's like it's shot under something that's not possible. It's shot under concrete. And you see her.
It's supposed to be the ground, but it's obviously filmed with like
it's
some
the camera
kind of
lens
plate.
now. Right.
And
And
she
you were
smashes face first into it, and her face splits open and just starts gushing blood.
Yeah.
And I literally was just like, fuck yes. Like, that satisfied my falling from a building scratch. And not only was it just such a cool climax, and it was such earned for the character because she's so vicious and cruel. And then he's also like, well, let's see, you know? Because it's like, he's like, well, the sentence is death. You know, what's your defense? Or like, do you have anything to say? She doesn't say anything. So he's like, defense noted.
Yeah. Right. It almost
cool.
like
it's thematic and it's super badass. And I really liked it.
Right. And it is like that. It is good triumphing evil. So even though that's like subjective and not possible, but it's like still in this movie, it's just fantastic to have.
It's lawful good, lawful good. Versus,
right.
Lawful. I guess it would be lawful evil probably, or neutral.
Right. Well, yeah, kind of neutral because she just kind of
she's probably
runs
neutral,
the territory.
She's in it for totally her own benefits.
Right. And she's not really.
She's not trying to adhere to some giant evil code.
She's not trying to take down a government or anything. She's just
neutral evil.
Yeah, but, she's just straight up just making
lawful good and neutral evil.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's Dredd. This movie's fun. It's like I like that not every movie, like, people call us film snobs and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not every movie is this like, Kaufman-esque picking apart all the meanings and.
It doesn't have to be a cat and mouse. It's just straight up, just like it's just a barrage
simple,
of bullets to the top.
But this movie is like it's more than just like shoot 'em up or Crank or something like other action movies of the era that are super over the top that are just like action. Like those movies do that, but this movie has such a interesting and established foundation on which to stand upon, which is the world building and the lore, which is just like, it's subtle, but it's woven in there that I think really makes it stand a league a little bit above those other movies for me. Because those other movies are very situational, where this movie is in its plot beats, but it has a lot more going on as far as just like what is happening and where it's happening in the world it's happening in.
As for like one-man armies go, I feel like it gives you enough breath. And he is tactical enough that it makes sense.
It breathes. It breathes. You know what I mean? Like there's the downtime.
He's not a Rambo type or an Expendables type where it's like hundreds and hundreds of onslaught are coming and he's like taking them on. It'll be like in a closed room and he distracts everybody and then they go in. I mean,
and when it makes sense, they sneak past him. You know what I mean? Like it's
right, and that's what I appreciate. Yeah,
it's nice. Anyway, check that movie out. Button it up.
Yeah, we're gonna give you some of our little closers here. If you would like to call in like Travis does and give us a voicemail of your own about movies we're watching, movies you're watching, pretty much anything. We'd love to hear from you. There's nothing off the table. We'll talk to you about anything. Film specifically would be great, but you know what? I'll chat you up about an alternator or whatever you need, whatever you got out there. And if you'd like to talk about that, call 801-613-1501. You can
very nice.
leave a message.
Give us a call, leave a message. Thanks to everyone who contributed and talked on the Reddit, gave us your thoughts on Dredd. I love hearing your guys' perspectives. Love hearing, I just love hearing people excited about movies too. Like a couple of the comments were just like, I fucking love this movie. And I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, I'm glad. I love it when people love movies. So don't forget to comment there. Our next movie won the poll. The next remake we're watching this next week is the Coen brothers remake of True Grit. We will be watching.
He's of True Grit.
He's True Grit. I haven't seen it since it came out. I've only seen it.
Maybe. No, dude. Actually, no. I watched it like last year.
I've only seen it once. I mean, I remember it. I remember it pretty well, but we'll see. Because I remember not loving it, but
wow. Okay.
I do love me some westerns, so we'll see.
Maybe,
I love the Coen brothers and Jeopardy and all that. So.
Yeah. I kind of
We'll see.
We'll get there. We'll get there when we. Yeah. We'll see you next week.
Hopefully, I can get my wife to fucking watch it with me. So go watch True Grit. Give us your thoughts and opinions on that. Check out the Instagram. Go to the website.
Yeah.
And if you like Patreons,
we have a Patreon account that is just Coldest Cinema Knowledge. You can type it in. We'll pop right up. And if you become one of our awesome patrons, like that of Kylie and Landon and Thomas and Cindy and Gloria, you guys can, get along the Plex and watch all our movies. It'll be there for you. You can get part of the Sticker of the Month Club, mail out some awesome stickers that we create.
Yes.
And just be part of the community, man.
And
Love
for
it.
only $1 a month, you get to listen to our other podcast that we do with our other friend David, Cinema Ramble, where it's a little bit more free-from, just talking about all the other movies we're watching.
All movies.
Movie, just making, movie, news, movie, whatever. The whole last episode, we spent 30 minutes talking about Kevin Smith's career. So check that out. We're going to go do one right now, and I'm going to tell you at the beginning of the episode, I said the movie in which I'm going to kill myself to. We'll talk about that.
We will, yeah. If you want that exciting news, please come to the Ramble.
Go check out the
and
Ramble.
we'll tell you our Suicide Note movies, and we're going to talk about everything. What is it? Yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep.
Which
we both just watched it. We haven't talked to each other about it at all.
Nope. So come to the Ramble. We'll chitty chat.
Yep. All right. Thanks for listening.
Bye. Have a good night.